Hey, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So Offset Uncle is wondering why is Quavo even hanging out and being best friends with Jay Prince Jr. because they realize that this is not the only time that they've been inviting Quavo over there. Like behind all the Migos backs, they've been secretly having Quavo come to Houston because they wanted him to be more buddy with them. They really tricked all of them because they knew out of all the Migos that it wasn't going to work with Offset because they too, everybody want to be the tough number one guy. They couldn't make it work out with Takeoff because they know that Takeoff is going to see through the BS. So they knew that the only way to really get under them and to take control was to get a hold of Quavo. If they can control and sway Quavo's opinion and have Quavo be buddy with them, then they think that they could get away with whatever they can because they're going to always have Quavo arguing and trying to get them to go down there for the parties until either somebody gets robbed like Duke the Jeweler or something happens like it happened with Takeoff. Either way, man, they were looking for, because you got to understand, Jay Prince Jr. and them, they get paid a commission every time that they have a rapper come check in. Like anytime that the rappers come check in and they pay $50,000 to the security and then they lose like $600,000 at the dice game, then they take all the bread that's earned off of that and they split it amongst everybody who ran the play. Like that's why they all actually is there at the dice game. A lot of people was fake losing money. It looked like they was losing money, but all of that money was going back to the house. See, the house always wins. And so they really put the game together. They threw that party with the Migos and they had them dice games specifically because they know that if they can get the people with the most money to come over there and still play into it, then they're going to make everybody look like, they're going to be, as basically if there's 20 people or 10 people playing, it's really 10 versus one dude. The dude with all the money, the rapper that they're trying to finesse, is going to be the one who look like he's playing against everybody because everybody's really in their mind like, okay, so we going to act like we lose. We going to give bread to him, but then we going to come back and take it all from him either way because it's going to look like it went to one person. And at the end of that game, that person's going to go and they're going to give all the bread to Jay Prince Jr. and then they're going to count it up and split it amongst the whole team, the people who ran the play, the guys who checked them in and everything like that. And so they wonder, and it's like, hey, Offset Uncle really found it out because he knew that Quavo was doing something behind their back. Like he already knew that, okay, if Quavo and Offset having all these problems, and once he's had the problems, why did he have to run to Jay Prince and Jay Prince Jr. to tell him about the situation with Offset? And that's really why Offset and the Prince family and everybody got into it, because Quavo went over there and really told them early on during the whole breakup when they was feuding over Saweetie and the little baby situation where it was like it looked like somebody was with Saweetie and everything like that, but it turned out not being Offset, but they already put his name into it. And so they just went and ran with that and made it to where, okay, now Quavo and Offset start beefing because they were seeing the same girl, and it ended up not even being true, really. And so from that, Quavo went and ran to Jay Prince Jr. and them. He went and ran to the family and Mob Ties and everybody, and he told them, look what's happening here, look what's happening there. If the Migos break up, do y'all have my back? If the Migos break up, can you guys sign me? If the Migos break up, can you give me an advance of $800,000? Can you guys back me on my new album? Can you do all these new videos for me? And so Quavo knew that it was swindling down to where he knows that the problems him and Offset were having was going to affect Takeoff, and it affects everybody in the group. And if everybody in the group of the Migos is affected, then it's basically the end of Migos. So he already knew that basically they was going to have like a big split up and breakup. So he already kind of got things rolling. He went ahead of the steps, a couple steps ahead. He went to Houston, he went to Jay Prince, and he said, look, I think that with the feud that Offset and him are having, that he says that by 6 months from now, the Migos should be broken up. And when that happens, he's going to do his single thing. And when he does a single project and does a solo career, he's going to do it all through the management between Rap-A-Lot Records, Mob Ties, and everything like that. He's going to try to work out a better deal than Finesse Two Times. But when Finesse Two Times was with Mob Ties and them, he had issues. He couldn't make it work out. So he tried to have Yo Gotti and them come in. The only reason he really finessed 2 Times, really did work with Jay Prince and them, was because he was trying to get the writing credits for all those lyrics and songs that Moneybagg Yo stole. So there was money to be made in that. There was a move to be made in that. But after they did that, Finesse 2 Times didn't want nothing to do with Jay Prince Jr. and them. And so he dipped off. And now Quavo's the next person that they're going to take in and try to manage, change everything up. They're going to, wash it down to making it maybe popping for Houston. They're going to try to get a lot of the up-and-coming Houston people to be going on tour with Quavo. They're going to try to get him a feature with, like, people like Paul Wall, Zero, and Lil Kiki, things like that, right? So they're going to try to make it to where they can make Quavo's solo career popping again. But really, it's like they already knew that this was going to happen because Quavo was buddy-buddy with them, and Offset's uncle already was wondering why he was always flying to Houston. He was always leaving Takeoff behind, and any time that he did bring them with, it was because it was a party with Jay Prince Jr. or they were doing this for an event, like doing a favor or whatever, just putting people at the risk by being around that whole entire entourage when you know that they affiliated out there and that at any moment things can pop off because there's a lot of hotheads, there's a lot of youngins that's not matured yet. And, like the little cousins and everybody that they had, the little Cam, the DJ Pat, all of those dudes, like when you around, constantly around them dudes, it's just a matter of time until something went down. And so Quavo kept pushing the agenda, pushing the envelope. He wanted to just keep going there and keep hanging out with them because he thought that they was going to help him when the Migos broke up. And so, but it ended up where he gets into the argument with them. And because he's arguing, he really had a whole situation with them long before when the Migos first was breaking up. And he went there to ask him for help and ask him for advice on the whole situation with Saweetie. They done told him a couple things that he thought he kind of got tricked into believing. So when he went back and he didn't think he was going to have to get charged for all those security things. And really the dice game situation was to try to, the reason why the dice game went so bad too is because Takeoff didn't really want to play. So they didn't have as much money to be able to finesse off of Quavo and Takeoff. And since Takeoff didn't play, then it came down to Quavo losing all of his bread because they're like, look, if both of them aren't going to play, then we're just going to have to basically beat Quavo in this game so bad that we take all his bread, basically. And so when that happened, that was when everything flipped the script. And they was kind of mad because they wanted to get Offset over there too so they could run his pockets from the dice game. And so all of this revolved around the fact that he trusted him. He thought he was going to be able to make an easy transition if the Migos broke up, that he was going to be able to quickly run over to Houston and get cool with Mob Ties and Jay Prince Jr. and them. But it all ended up backfiring on him because they all had the egos. They got into it. The back and forths happened. So when they made that move at the dice game, of course Quavo was going to be mad. So he started arguing with the dudes. And he started arguing with the dudes that ended up can make the decision to say, hey, you do this to him. Hey, you do that. Or let's set it off in here. And so the shot callers, basically the ringleaders, the dudes who pull the strings and make things happen in the city, that's who Quavo was arguing with. So no wonder the things went as bad as they did because the young dudes are sitting there looking at their OG getting yelled at and they can't take it. So when somebody whistled and snapped the finger, that's when they knew it was go time, and they ran up and walked fast right up to Takeoff. And the other dude tried to trip Quavo, and that's when he looked at Migo bands once, and Migo bands took 2 steps back. And after that, everything was a blur, man. Everything happened so fast. And it's just that now you just left with the effects of it. And the lessons learned from all of this is that you really can't be trusting anybody. You got to stay out the limelight. Don't do no dice games. Nobody should be touching any type of dice. The only dice you should have is the ones that hang down on the mirror on your lowrider, on the old school. And so that's basically it. You can play craps at the casino. You could go and do dice games legit, but anytime it's a dice game in the street, it's always gonna end in a weird way, or they're gonna try to make you play again to get them a chance to get their bread back. But then that's what that's really doing, is buying more time for somebody to pull up and just rob the whole dice game. That happens every day in the hood, man. Every day. And so basically with all that, subscribe to the channel, like this video. I'm gonna catch you later. Peace.